and how's it going, everybody? It is Skullzi here with the latest gaming news, rumors, and speculation. Today we are boarding that speculation station once more and setting out into something that could potentially piss everybody off, or maybe make you hyped. It's kind of hard to tell how people will react to things these days, but remember, a definite percentage of this video is indeed speculation, based off both new and old confirmed Bethesda discoveries, and on top of this, I'm just breaking the information down. I'm not responsible for multiplayer games or things you don't like. I know people get a little annoyed if Bethesda Game Studios in particular seem to take the focus away from single-player games, which I can kind of understand, but regardless, that's not the case here. Calm down, Skoomma's on the house for everybody this time. Let's not waste any more time and get straight into today's content. And obviously, based off the title, I'm talking about the potential for a standalone Starfield MMORPG to be released at some point in the near future, and probably not here soon. And there's actually a decent amount of information to back all this up, everything from straight-up identifiable Bethesda patterns to literal job postings that were then edited and covered up by Bethesda to remove any sign of this game potentially existing. We'll be digging deep today, but in order to paint a more complete picture, I wanted to go back and gather all the evidence there is to find regarding this potential situation. From the new community discoveries to the very first sign of a Starfield MMORPG, we'll be breaking it all down today in chronological order, starting way back. But a little prologue before we hit up that evidence timeline though. I wanted to restate that this potential Starfield MMO would be a standalone game, meaning a totally separate project from the single-player Starfield game, and not only would this Starfield MMO be a separate project, but it would also primarily be developed by a collaboration of different Bethesda studios, separate from BGS Maryland, who are the ones focusing on the single-player Starfield, and then the Elder Scrolls 6. All this will indeed make a bit more sense here within the next few minutes as I present the evidence, but I figured I should clear the air of any potential trigger factors right away, and remember, while the evidence I am presenting is indeed confirmed and straight from Bethesda, anything beyond that is speculation, including the fact that the Starfield MMO may even be in development right now. However, I feel like I've gathered quite the list of evidence to support my theory, starting a long time ago. Back in 2020, or late 2020, according to a Bethesda artist's LinkedIn profile, Bethesda Game Studios Montreal was working on a new unannounced game, and Starfield was already announced way before 2020, so clearly this isn't referring to Starfield. On top of this, the Elder Scrolls 6 was announced directly alongside Starfield, so none of this evidence will be referring to the Elder Scrolls 6 either. It is also believed that BGS Montreal are primarily a support studio, meaning they basically assist the other studios with other projects. However, it seems for quite a while now, BGS Montreal has been working on a secret new game, and they aren't the only studio doing so. The following evidence is based off official Bethesda job postings. However, since then, these job postings have either been edited by Bethesda to remove any mention of this new game, or the job postings were removed entirely. Because of this, I'll be referring to Reddit posts to prove that this evidence actually existed in the first place. The first one is a Bethesda Game Studios Austin job posting from early 2021. We could see, thanks to the clerics of Reddit, that this job posting originally stated Bethesda Game Studios is seeking a qualified server engineer to help create and improve systems for an unannounced title. Come join our experienced team of developers who have a legacy of creating AAA games, so on and so forth. However, if we check that same exact job posting now, any mention of a new unannounced title has randomly been removed from the posting itself. Todd must have used that black sacrament. And this is Bethesda Game Studios Austin, who primarily focus on online games, seeing how they're the main studio behind Fallout 76. However, this is now two separate Bethesda Game Studios, Austin and Montreal, both confirmed to be working on a new unannounced game. It is indeed pretty likely that both of these games could be two separate projects, two entirely different games. However, I want to present the following theory. What if they are all working together? What if several Bethesda dev studios are all working on a new massive game? Clearly the game isn't Starfield or the Elder Scrolls 6, because it's said to be an unannounced game, but Starfield is also said to be a massive game as well, so what is more massive than Starfield, a game set in space? That's pretty easy to solve, actually. An MMO set within the Starfield universe, similar to that of the Elder Scrolls Online. After all, each major Bethesda Game Studios game has an MMO of sorts to represent it, as Fallout 76 exists for Fallout, even though that's not quite an MMO, and the Elder Scrolls Online exists for the Elder Scrolls, so why would Starfield not have something like that? that. And in fact, there is actually evidence to directly support the fact that this could be a Starfield MMO. And on top of this, there's another completely different Bethesda studio alongside these two working on a new project, Zenimax Online Studios, the literal creators of the Elder Scrolls Online and a studio that focuses on MMORPGs. They too are confirmed and even have stated themselves several times that they're working on a new major project and have been for quite a while. And on top of this, based on Zenimax Online Studio job postings back in 2021, this new game will feature player and NPC controlled vehicles. A job posting that was then taken down, by the way, which maybe they just hired someone so they took the job posting down, or maybe they felt like it revealed too much. Either way, what type of RPG would make the most sense in terms of having a game world with a lot of player-controlled and NPC-controlled vehicles? I mean, cities, maybe, I guess, but what makes more sense in my opinion is space. What doesn't make sense, though, is for Zenimax Online Studios to be working on a totally different IP, a completely separate sci-fi and space universe from Starfield, which is no doubt what some people believe, as the Zenimax Online Studios job posting does specifically say a new IP, meaning it would seemingly be different than the Starfield universe. However, I believe it just says this to detach any potential connections in it being related to Starfield. If ZOS was working on an MMO set in space, it would almost have to be set within Starfield's universe, otherwise the game would directly compete with Starfield, and that's just not good. However, by having this new MMO set within Starfield's universe, Bethesda could release this Starfield MMO several years after the launch of the original single-player game in an attempt to gather more hype and attention for the franchise. That way, Starfield 2 would have a higher overall engagement and hype rate during its initial announcement and marketing campaign. After all, every single Bethesda Game Studios franchise has its own online standout equivalent, like I've said. Why would Starfield be the exception, especially when it's the perfect backdrop for an MMORPG in the first place, since it's set in space? And there is even one more bit of speculation I want to break down real quick before we close the video. I believe Bethesda already told us when the Starfield MMO would actually take place. In the Settled Systems Starfield update video from Bethesda, Emil Pelliero states that 20 years before the start of the single-player game, meaning 20 years before the game actually takes place, the two major factions within the game's universe, the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective, were engaged in a massive system-wide war. This war was called the Colony Wars, and this is the exact setting I'd expect a potential Starfield MMO to take place in. It makes the perfect backdrop, a massive war within Starfield's universe between two huge factions, similar to the backdrop of ESO with all the different faction powers fighting against each other, and with it taking place before the main events of the single-player game, 20 years or so to be exact, that would provide enough of a disconnect from the main game itself so that choices and events that the players partake in within the Starfield MMO would be separate and not necessarily affect the single-player game, or at the least, not create any potential plot holes, or lore issues even, unless there is a space dragon break or something to align the timelines again, I guess. And lastly, the community indeed discovered these new Bethesda employee LinkedIn profiles recently. The profiles aren't new, but the discoveries are, and they all state that a separate unannounced project is indeed still in development amongst different Bethesda studios. So either all these different Bethesda dev studios are all working on their own individual projects at the same time, which could be likely, or my theory is correct, and they're all working together on a massive Starfield MMO. A game that will not likely be announced for at least 4 more years or so if I had to make a guess, but remember, this is just some of that ye old speculation like Skullzi used to make, or apparently still does. But as always, what I want to know is, what do you think about all this? What do you think about the Starfield MMO theory? Would you be interested in something like that? Let me know down in the comments below. Thumbs up if you enjoy the content, as it really helps push the algorithm to show my content to new people, and be sure to subscribe to help grow the community and the channel. And a huge shout out to the following amazing people for supporting the channel and the community. Get your name added to this permanent future video shout out list by supporting the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. Links for all this and more are down in the description below, as well as a link for Skullzi merchandise and the Skullzi Discord server. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when, if I'm correct, everybody owes me 500 skooma. I'll go ahead and I'll take it in advance, please.
It just works.